Our five-time draft dodger president has been hurling some very serious threats at Iran. And one of them is if there was a war between Iran and the US, it would end Iran. Well, Iran has since responded back to the president, and they pretty much told Trump, and this came out on Newsweek, May 25th, 2019. Iran tells Donald Trump the only thing that will end is him. So it's been right now a buildup of military personnel out there in the Middle East. They've been also trying to get non military people out of there and bring them back home because, ladies and gentlemen, I really do believe something is about to happen. It is not unusual for the US to do these preemptive strikes. They have a record of doing that out in the Middle East, which is really Africa, but they call it the Middle East. And something is about to happen. I don't believe all this military buildup and sending people home and all that stuff is for naught. I really believe something is about to jump off. So Iran's top diplomat has rejected Trump's recent threats, saying it was he whose days were numbered. Following talks with Pakistani officials in Islamabad, Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif responded to an ultimatum issued by Trump on Twitter, which I think is really inappropriate for a president to be out on Twitter just bullying people and making threats. But this is what Trump does. I don't even think it's appropriate for a sitting president to be on Twitter because all he's doing is going out there trolling people every day. Trump is a troll. Seriously, Trump is a troll. Look at the kind of stuff he does out there. He's a troll. Okay, so he issued the ultimatum, which we remember last Sunday on Twitter, and he warned if Iran wants to fight, that will be the official end of Iran. Never threaten the U.S. again. Zarif previously reacted by citing thousands of years of Persian history against aggressors, such as Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan. But now the minister directed his warnings towards the Republican leader himself. Trump, in his own comment, has shown that, firstly, he does not know history, and secondly, he does not know the people of Iran, Zarif said, according to semi-official Tasnim news agency. Thirdly, he is proving that claims by him and his colleagues about supporting the Iranian people are nothing but lies. A few days ago, he said Iran will end. Iran will see his end, but we will never see the end of Iran, Zarif added. While the U.S. is relatively a new country, because, many of those countries in the region, in those African nations, they've been around a lot longer than the U.S. So in terms of, even when you compare it to Russia, Russia's been around for 1,000 years. And the U.S., in comparison, is really still a baby. So while the U.S. is relatively a new country, it has played a major role in Iran's modern history, having orchestrated a 1953 coup there to oust a prime minister who challenged the absolute rule of a West-backed monarchy. Relations were severed after Iran's 1979 Islamic Revolution and a hostage crisis at the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. Boy, do I remember that. I remember that. I remember that, and they sent the black employees home because they said they didn't wanna harm them, and they kept the whites, and I think there was one black man or somebody that voluntarily stayed, he didn't have to stay. They told him several times he could leave, but, that's the nature of the coon. So, anyway, any hopes of warming in ties following the 2015 nuclear deal were dashed with Trump's decision to unilaterally exit the agreement May 2018, which they said was actually a really good deal. It was the best deal the US was going to ever get to keep Iran from using any nukes, and that's gone now. The White House argued that the agreement did not go far enough to stop Iran from allegedly funding militant groups and developing ballistic missile technology, and has laid out intense sanctions designed to sabotage the Islamic Republic ability to trade with other countries. A year since Washington pullout, Tehran has begun to reconsider its own commitment to the accord, and the US has sounded the alarm of a supposed heightened threat against US interests in the region. The Trump administration has contended that Iranian officials were arming small boats with missiles and potentially gearing up allied militias in Iraq for potential action, leading the U.S. to deploy the USS Abraham Lincoln carrier strike group to the Middle East in response to what the White House National Security Advisor John Bolton, and there go your problem right there, reputed anti-Iran hawk, called troubling and escalatory indications and warnings. Bolton, if you go back and look at this man's history, he's been trying to get to Iran even during the Bush administration. So he's had Iran on his radar for quite some time, a couple of decades now. Okay. Newsweek previously reported Bolton had acting Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan draw up both offensive and retaliatory military options against Iran, and a scaled down version was reportedly presented Thursday at the Pentagon. This came even as one U.S. military official and a lawmaker speaking to Newsweek expressed their doubts towards the administration's spin on the intelligence. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo claimed Tuesday that the briefings were about 40 years of unprovoked aggression from the Iranian regime, and to explain the prudent steps were taken to deter violence, protect American interests, and support the brave Iranian people. Both Trump and senior Iranian officials, including Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei, have played down the prospects of a war between the countries. At the same time, Tehran's leadership has rejected Trump's call for them to contact him to restart negotiations on a deal he already left a year ago, which I understand. What I think he should have done, instead of walking away from the deal, kept the deal in place and just renegotiate the deal, you know? But walking away, now it's going to be very difficult for those people to come back after you walked away. He seems to have that pattern. He did the same thing in Vietnam with the North Koreans. They wanted to seal that deal. You can tell they really wanted that deal to be complete, and he walked away from it. What is this, what he's going to do through his whole presidency? Just keep walking away and not getting anything done? Through Zarif himself recently returned from a short-lived resignation. Trump's position has also become more precarious in recent weeks. A growing number of legislators, mostly Democrats, have raised the prospect of impeaching the president, accusing him of soliciting help from Russia in winning the 2016 election and obstructing the subsequent investigation into his alleged misdeeds. And you see all the obstruction that Trump is doing now over his tax returns. I mean, he's doing a lot of mess, telling people to not respond to subpoenas. I mean, all kinds of obstruction is going on. The controversy would likely follow Trump throughout his next campaign trail ahead of a possible second and final term. In 2020, the following year, Iran too was set to hold a presidential election, but Trump's U.S. counterpart, Hassan Rouhani, would not be eligible as he has already served 2 terms set by Tehran. Recent events could spell trouble for Iranian politicians sharing Rouhani's moderate platform. However, he and Zarif um, were key players in selling the nuclear deal to hardliners like Khamenei, though the deal, officially known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, was still supported by fellow signatories, China, the EU, France, Germany, Russia, and the United Kingdom. And if you remember, they were trying to talk Trump out of backing out of the deal. You know, they all were back in 2018, and it made big news. European powers have struggled to implement it in the face of US threats, and Khamenei himself has become increasingly vocal about his initial reluctance to engage with the West. The way of the JCPOA was handled, I do not really believe in it. Khamenei told a group of university students and representative of student associations Wednesday, and I mentioned this to the president and the foreigner and had warned them several times. So the tensions continue, ladies and gentlemen. You know, there's a lot of people that don't feel that what's going on is strong enough for war. But the way they are moving people around right now, who knows what's going to happen? But I agree, it's not a real safe time to be in the Middle East, especially now. I don't know when it's been safe. You know, FYI, back in the day when I was studying that region, Iran and Iraq was actually one whole country. You know, it was warring and disagreements that split the nation into two. And it's not the first time we've seen something like this. You know, you have Dominican Republic and Haiti virtually on the same landmass, you know, and you see this around the world. And it just go to show you how much people will divide to the point where they will split land in half. That's how deep the divisions go. But please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Please leave your comment and subscribe. And the reason why I bring this up, just in case some of you are like, why? Because if war goes down, you know, they're coming for the Black people to help them fight the war, because this place has never won one single war without us. Peace, family.